Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Redux. What ifs? And today I have a special what if for y'all. This is going to be here comes the yawn. There we go. All right, this is going to be what if Deku Midoriya was in Fate Stay Night Unlimited Blade Works, right? And yes, this is going to be a long ass series, bro, because there's like 4 fucking endings to this shit, bro. And honestly, if y'all really want me to do every single ending, I will. I will. I think I really would do that. But I think some of the endings are you gotta play the game, I believe, because I know there's like 2 animes where it shows both endings, but for the other 2, I think you gotta play the games, because I know there's one that Elia doesn't die, and there's one that Elia does die. So we're gonna cover the one that I have a special twist to this ending, how this one ends, but other than that, how y'all probably wondering what quirks am I giving Deku, right? Honestly, I really don't feel like naming all those quirks that he has. Me personally, I like the stockpiling quirk. I like the quirk that he had from season 1 through 4. And in the movies, well, the first 2 movies, but after he started getting all these quirks, I was like, yeah, bro, he kind of lost me. But yeah, overall, I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna switch his abilities. Already put in the voting tab that y'all want him to have a noble phantasm, and it's gonna be linked to the pairs before him, right? The hairs before him. So, for example, he could make the impossible happen. So let's say that, since Lancer has Gay Ball, I think it's like Gaggle Ball. I don't know what that fucking spear is called. All I know is that his noble phantasm is once he throws that thing will track you until it, just like destroys your heart, just like pierces your heart, and just flies through you because you can't escape it unless you have extreme luck or a noble phantasm that can make it miss. For example, when Archer did it. Archer was able to overcome it using the shield. Like, you have to have insane defense or insane luck, and for the luck side, that's more for what happened to what's her name? That happened to Saber when she was fighting him. I think it was in another anime, but yeah, that's Deku's basically noble phantasm. He could make the impossible happen. He could damn near stop that shit if he catches it. And he could just make the impossible happen, but there has to be like set conditions for him to activate his noble phantasm. And I'm gonna have to upscale him a lot, because if I use current or end of series Deku, it still won't be enough. Honestly, I'm gonna be real, it still won't be enough. He will still get mollywop. So I gotta upgrade his durability, basically everything across the board. So without any further ado, I hope y'all enjoy this what if. I'm gonna let this intro play. I just had to get that out the way so y'all know what's going on. And without any further ado, let's get into the what if. Now, we start this what if off in the My Hero universe, basically. We start this what if off in the My Hero universe. We're gonna say that he was fighting Shigaraki, and as the battle climaxed, right, and it was a huge explosion, everything went white, and at that same moment, we're gonna say like a second, like 3 beams of light just shot into the explosion, taking Deku away. He defeats Shigaraki, but Deku just disappears from everything, right? And then that's when he gets brought before the outer gods of the Fate universe, and saying that he's been selected to participate in the Holy Grail. I think it's the 5th Holy Grail War, I believe. That's the one, because the 4th one takes place before Unlimited Blade Works. So It's the fifth Holy Grail War, and they sense that he has great potential. So they tell him that he'll know what to do, and other than that, they basically let him keep his memories, but he gets raised by different parents and stuff. And yeah, we're basically just gonna say that he has his whole new life in the Fate universe set out for him. And it was that when he turned 15, they sealed all his memories, and when he turned 15, right, that's when everything unlocked. All for one for all comes back into his body, as he starts to glow, and he realized what he has to do and train. Because so far, since he hasn't trained, he could only pertain. We're gonna say we're gonna be nice. We're gonna be nice and say he could use 30% only 5 times before his body gives out. So that with that kind of scaling at the beginning, I think he does pretty decent. Not gonna hold you, he does a pretty good job. So here's how we're gonna really kick this shit off, right? We start how we usually do in canon with how Shiro has the vision of the world was on fire after the other Holy Grail War he was a part of. He was more like not a casualty, but like a survivor of the war, basically, right? He laid there as the city of Fuyuki was engulfed in inferno, flames painting the night sky hellish orange. Charred buildings collapsed as the embers danced upwards like sorrowful fireflies. The air choked with ash, and like I said, he was young as he wandered the streets, as he did in canon, right? So he was wandering the streets, and he wanders through the burning streets, small hands reaching out to see if anyone was alive. Heat seared his lungs. His vision started getting blurry with tears. Why? He wondered, in despair as he tripped over everything that he was walking. Why is everyone dead? And just as he was walking, a falling beam traps him under some burning rubble. Just as he was thinking that this is how it might end, a strange man with like a trench coat on, fluttering in the wind. You're safe now. I'm sorry I couldn't save them all, but you are safe. And so after that, that's when Shiro wakes up, a cold sweat as he's remembering. He has, that's like some major trauma, not gonna hold you. So he starts breathing in and out, right? And so it still haunts him as he wakes up, gets ready, and then he remembers the promise that he made, that he will be a hero of justice. Something like, Midoriya, right? So after that, he gets ready for school, school uniform, blue vest over the white shirt. He hurried to the kitchen, and then that's when Shiro was greeted by Sakura. He was greeted by Sakura, my bad. And she was wearing her little purple, her hair is purple, right? No, it was, her hair tie was purple, my bad. She's a year below Shiro, right? So, as y'all know, if y'all watch Fate, she would kind of tell y'all would know. And then that's when he greeted her back to good morning. And Taiga Fujimura, which is the owner of the place where Shiro is at, that's what Shiro calls her big sister. And Shiro is conversating with them, telling them how, and Shiro was basically saying that the food smells really good, right? So they conversate. After that, Sakura tells Shiro tells Sakura that he's gonna do the dishes. Since she cooked, he'll just clean up everything. And then that's when he does that. After that, he gets ready to go to school, but before he walks out, Sakura asked if he was gonna be at the archery club today. And then that's when he said that he needs to, help fix the heater like he did in Canon. So he'll drop by at the same time though, and then that's when he begins to walk to class, right? Right? Because I'm basically like giving a whole lowdown of what's gonna happen. So y'all, this is like how the story starts. Like this is how like I'm trying to keep it canon, keep the Fate Unlimited Blade Work series canon while integrating Midoriya. So we gonna get there. We just gotta enjoy the ride, right? So after that, we see Shiro walk out and getting ready to walk to school. As he begins walking, and the camera pans up to the sun rising, and then we come down as not so far away under the cover of a walkway. Ren Tosaka. Ooh, you already know. Ren Tosaka. Badass fuck, bro. Honestly, bro. But let's not get too crazy. I don't need to be sounding down bad because yeah, I would never be down bad. Redux Gang will never be down bad unless y'all got something y'all need to tell me what. All right, let me stop bullshitting for real. But for real though, she was walking to school. She arrives as everybody views her as a model student. She's like one of the prettiest girls at the school. She was happy-go-lucky, but at the same time, she's a witch of a very prominent clan, and she sensed that something was off, and as she did, she thought Archer calling her. She summoned Archer, but since she could only see him, since that's how he projects himself, she basically says that keep surveillance around the school because she feels like something big is gonna happen, right? And so across the courtyard, Shiro finishes his lunch, and he stretched. As he stretched, he noticed Ren through the window as she strode away, looking unusually, a little bit sad. They were in the same year, but Shiro only ever exchanged polite nods with her. He wasn't trying to be on that. As he thought, she probably doesn't even know my name, to be honest. He thought with a smile, to someone like Ren, studious, refined, and a guy like him probably did not register to her. So, but still, he admired her from afar. Her dedication and aura of confidence were something else that he respected. Shiro put the fixed recorder aside and checked his watch. Class would resume soon, and if he hurried it back, he would still make it so he doesn't have to be late, because he can't afford a target. Unaware that at the end of the day, things would dramatically change. So we fast forward, the sky is turning into a pinkish orange as the sun is beginning to set. Students filtered out the school, ready to get home before the weekend starts. Shiro had to stay behind as he promised to see Sakura by the archery dojo and to fix the AC unit. So after he did that, he practiced. He fixed around the wiring of the AC unit, and after that, he hears a voice in the background. Wow, you fixed it. Thank you so much. Misery, she was the head captain of the archery club. She was a lively girl, short brown hair, no nonsense attitude. And that's when she said, we really rely on you, handyman. You sure you don't want to rejoin the club? We could use your talents. And then that's when Shiro was like, tried to play it off on some smooth dude shit, talking about he was like sorry, he has other responsibilities that he has to handle. He was like, but if you do need anything fixing, he is always happy to help. So after that, he gets his stuff, packs up everything, and outside he begins to walk, and then that's when we notice Archer aura farming like he Piccolo with that red coat fluttering in the wind. Normal people can't see Archer unless he wants to be seen, right? That's when, because Archer is keeping, basically just a sign of any threat, right? So as that happens, now we're gonna get to the good part. Um, Ren's so while that happens, as we pan away from Shiro's school, that's when the fight between Archer and Lancer begins. But we kind of cut to where uh some distance away in Fubuki, right? The other city. Well, it's still the same city, but something would transpire as Izuku Midoriya, known in another world name as Deku, was on his way from a long day. You know, he was a hero in training. UA. He's still, mind you, he's still in the universe. I might, yeah, I switched some things up a little bit, so please just bear with me. So this is how I'm gonna do it. So he's still in the My Hero universe, right? He's training with All Might, trying to use all his trying to get a better handle of One for All, as he's basically trying to up his percentages, right? And then as he was passing under the underpass, he was taking a long scenic route home, just trying to enjoy the walk, like enjoy the walk in life for what it was, right? So after that, he excuse me, he was walking, the under the overpass, and then the next moment a strange distortion around him, like dimensions started cracking, right? And light began to engulf around him, and all at the same time. And at that same time, like, he was walking and he just seen a bright light, right? And then as he walked, like, the light came and gone, and Deku was just looking at, like, around, like, to see what happened. And he thought he was in what is it? He still thought he was in his universe. Well, he doesn't know there's different universes till now when he meets people and stuff, but he still thought he was in Japan, right? So he's still under the bridge as he comes out, and he notices that there were there were kanjis on nameplates that he didn't recognize, and he was like, okay, maybe I'm just a part of the wrong part of town, right? And then so that's when what is it that's when he just thought of it as maybe he's tripping, right? But then he begins to understand that maybe he's not tripping at all. He was like, did some villain attack him while he didn't notice and teleported him somewhere? And then that's when he took a deep breath, trying to analyze everything. He had like his his hero stuff, like his hero stuff under his jacket and stuff. Like, he rocking a trench coat right now, what I'm talking about, so nothing too crazy. And I'm not gonna hold you, that hero suit with the bunny ears, that shit is lame. I'm gonna have to change his drip, so I'm changing his drip. So I'm gonna be real with you, it's gonna be like a darkish green with red and black outlines on it. And he won't have them hero gloves. He's not gonna use them hero gloves, because he needs to use them bare hands. He need to put on them work with them man hands for real. He gonna be throwing straight hands, no gloves, no support items. The only support item I think he might have are those boots, but other than that, no, straight hands. We gonna drip this man Deku out. So as he was just scanning the area, he tried to check his phone, and that's when he saw like no service, because it's a different universe, but he still doesn't know he's in a different universe. And so that's when he was like, I need to try to find some ground to figure out where I am. So he noticed like a pretty tall hill, so he activated one for all, we'll say about 15%, 10%. And he started going, he scoped out the scenery on a pretty decently sized hill to see everything, to see what was going on. And then as he walked on the hill, he realized there was a it was near a school, and then that's when he sees bright lights and like something that looks like fireworks or lightning, and then that's when he heard a huge explosion. And then that's when since he's like trained and all, he could kind of pick up on Archer's and Lancer's movements, and then that's when he realized that is no normal fight, as he was looking at somebody, the one that was in all blue, which is Lancer, and he had a what is it he had his spear, as he was like wielding it, slashing and trying to thrust at Archer, right? So while he was observing, he was thinking like, is this a hero? Villains? Do they possess quirks? Because he's still thinking that this might be like a different area maybe. So he's thinking that they possess quirks and stuff. So he was like, he's still trying to like understand and like be like, okay, how can I tackle this, right? He didn't know if there was like, he didn't know if someone was in danger, and if it was, he still has that hero, mentality. He doesn't want to stand by. So he clenches his fist as he activates One for All, right? And then the crimson aura flickered through his body, as he had like this greenish tint on him with the lightning sparking off, and then that's when he blasts over there to the school, right? So after he blasts over there, right, we're gonna flicker back to the scene where Archer and Lancer are fighting my bad words, god damn. Archer and Lancer are fighting at super high speeds like they are doing in canon, with Archer using the dual swords and Lancer is using the spear, right? And so as that happens, Archer backed up as he used his his bow and arrow, as he shoots like 1,000 arrows at once, as Archer grins and then starts slashing away, parrying, blocking, and destroying some of the arrows, with Lancer moving on top of a lamppost. And he was like, not bad, Archer, you're keeping up. He was like, usually you kind of lack something, but I feel like something is making your game a little bit more better. You're starting to push me back. And then that's when that's when Lancer puts the spear, he hangs it back as he's like leaning in the air. And then that's when he was over here just testing Archer's limits, to trying to see what makes Archer tick. But Archer was like, I could ask the same thing, Lancer. He was like, I'm tired of you holding back. That cut on your cheek is the reason why you're holding back. And if you don't take things serious, you're gonna get yourself killed. So are you ready to take things serious yet? And then that's when Lancer was like, you want something serious? I'll give you something serious. And then that's when as he said gay, right? He said gay. And then that's when the spear started glowing blood red, as the magic just started flashing out, like looking like a freaking bullet about to pierce whatever Lancer throws at it, because he was about to use his noble phantasm and aimed it directly at his heart. And as it's because his skill is like it's like a kill, like an instant kill technique, basically. Well, it's not instant, but it's a sure hit kill technique. And suddenly, as he was about to throw it, that's when Archer and Lancer noticed that's when he noticed a civilian, right? That's when he noticed Shiro, right? And so as he noticed Shiro, that's when Lancer attacked Archer, trying to basically trying to basically like evade while not giving the enemy a chance to pursue. So that's when because Lancer got the message to if a normal civilian sees this, it's it's his code. It's Lancer's code and his master's code to eliminate anybody that's not a part of the war, to keep her secret. So Shiro drawn himself drawn attention to himself. My bad. And so as Shiro met with with Lancer, they both locked eyes with each other. Not like that. And then that's when words, god damn, that's when Lancer vanished and then appeared in the building. As he appeared, there was like a huge shockwave that just shattered everything. The windows exploded and everything. And then that's when Lancer said, "Found you." And then that's when Shiro was like running, as he was like, "This can't be real, this can't be real, this can't be real." And then that's when Lancer was like, "Running is futile, kid. You're not gonna get far." He was like, "I'm sorry this has to happen to you, but the code is the code. We can't let anybody find out about this war." And so that's when Shiro used paper as Lancer threw the spear. And then that's when he used reinforcement his like reinforcement magic that he could do, like his projection magic. And it was able to he was able to he was able to stop it temporarily, but it still broke. As he was like, and then as Shiro gets stabbed by Lancer, that's when he was like, "Dang, I can't keep my promise." And then that's when Shiro was still conscious, but he was kind of leaking blood out everywhere. And then that's when Lancer withdrew his spear and then flicking the blood off the blade. And then that's when he was like, one less loose end. And then that's when Archer and Lancer well, not Archer did, but he was ready to get back to battle. Lancer was getting ready to go back to battle with Archer. As Lancer noticed, because Lancer thought Archer was coming after him, and then now he was like, "Another servant?" And he was like, "No, it feels different." And then in a heartbeat, Lancer paused, and then Ren came racing down the hallway, right? And then that's when Ren cried out as she cracked shot like her magical balls at I forgot what her ability is called when she shoots that out of her hand. But that's when it caught Lancer off guard as it like hit him in the shoulder, as he was like, "Damn it." And then that's when he was like, and then that's when he was like, "Damn it," as he was about to go attack her. But then that's when Archer stepped back, right? And then that's when he appeared in view. And then that's when Lancer basically vanished from sight, as he was like, I could have my revenge another day. We could have fun another day." And then that's when he jumped out the window. He was like, "Until next time, Archer." And then that's when he goes. And then that's when Ren uses her pendant to basically revive Shiro, right? And then that's when Shiro wakes up. And then as Shiro wakes up, Shiro and Ren notice like a green streak just shooting across the schoolyard, and then it enters in the building on the far right. And then that's when she screamed, "Who's there?" As she thought Lancer returned, or it could have been another servant, right, or a master. And then that's when Midoriya froze, and he was like, "What kind of quirk is that?" And then that's when Midoriya realized, he was like, "Is that magic?" And then that's when Ren was like, Ren's heart kind of like leapt out of his chest. Well, their hearts both leapt out, because Ren saw him, about her age, in a strange green jumpsuit with red outlines and black outlines, and his hair. She thought he didn't look threatening, or like a servant or a mage, right? In fact, Ren thought he was just a cosplayer or some kind of hero wannabe, and then that's when Midori was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard fighting and I was worried, and someone got hurt. I didn't mean to spy." He was like, "Is he gonna be okay?" And then Ren was like, "Are you some kind of cosplayer?" He was like, "No, no, 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 no." He was like, "You got it all wrong." And then he was like, "I just wanted to make sure he was okay." And then that's when she was like, "He'll be all right." And then that's when she was like, "And who are you? Because you're not a student here." And she didn't recognize him, even though that school was big as hell. And he was like, my name is Midoriya, and you're right, I don't go here. I'm not sure how I got here, to be honest." He was like, "One moment I was heading home, and then the next thing I know is I was in the city, and then I saw the fight, and then I thought somebody might have needed help." And then that's when she started to feel a little warm. And then because she didn't know why she was feeling warm, even though he was just like rambling on and on. And then that's when before Ren could question Midoriya any further, that's when they both heard a commanding voice, "Ren, are you all right?" And then that's when Archer's voice comes out of nowhere. That's when he appears, and then that's when Ren said, "We're fine." And then she said, "I'll be right there," as she turned back to what is it? She turned back to Midoriya. I'm gonna just say Deku. It's so much easier. She turned back to Deku, cause okay, so I'm gonna say it like this. So Ren, everybody is gonna call him Izuku or Midoriya, but we just know him as Deku. So we're gonna say Deku. So you already know who I'm talking about anyway. So there's no reason to just say that, right? So yeah. Anyway, she was like, "There's too many questions in no time, and plus Lancer can return anytime." So she was like, "Listen," she said, "Listen, Midoriya, you obviously saw things you weren't supposed to see. This is dangerous business, way beyond normal, even for you." He's like, "If you know what's good for you, you should leave this place and forget you saw what you saw." And then that's when Midori was like, "I don't know what's going on, but I can't just walk away." He's like, "That man in blue tried to kill him, and he tried to hurt you. People are fighting and getting hurt. If I can help in any way I can, I want to." And then that's when she was taken aback by like his his selflessness, as it kind of reminds her of Shiro. And then that's when she said, "Come with me, but stay behind me and do exactly as I say. Do you understand?" And then that's when he nodded slightly, and they made their way down the stairs to the schoolyard. And then that's when Archer was like, "Who is this? Another stray?" And then that's when Ren said that he saw he saw the fight, and he helped Emiya get out. So we'll sort it out for later, but for now, Archer cover us, and because Lancer may still be nearby, right? And then that's when Archer nodded. He took point, and then he just disappeared, taking taking orders from Ren, basically, right? And then as he leaves, Izuku could feel like the aura of power, because like in this universe, since it's like magic based, and I would say Izuku's quirk isn't magic based, but his noble phantasm is. He could kind of sense magic and stuff, so he could sense the power, and so that's when he could sense it. Like he gives like a vibe like All Might, but different. And then that's when and plus he called Ren's name so casually, right? And so he was like, he was just really tense, a little bit tense. So after, we'll say about 10 minutes later, they were at a Japanese styled house, a traditional house with Shiro's. It was basically Shiro's home. And then that's when my what is it? That's when the instant that what is it, we're gonna say that Shiro already had his he has his what is it, he has Saber as his servant, but she wasn't activated until he got home. And then as soon as they brought him in, that's when Saber, was ready to fight. And she was like, you know she said, she was ready to, fight, right? And then that's when Ren said, they're not here to fight, they want to call a truce, which Saber um basically just, stands down. As that's when Ren, after everything got on, calmed down, that's when Ren said, we're all on the same side. And she was like, let's just get inside, let them in, because standing around there makes them easy targets. So after that, everything after everything happened, right? um that's when Ren, Deku, and Saber, along with Archer, keeping standing next to the door, but scanning for any threats. They basically started, filling Saber in on what happened. And then that's when she was like saying that she would like to know what happened to, what happened to what happened to what is it, to Shiro. And Rin tells her exactly what happened, right? And then that's when Saber glances, daggers, but like not daggers, but like really curious about him. And then that's when she asked Deku who is he. And then that's when he was like, my name is Izuku Midoriya. He's like, I'm kind of a stranger here. I happened to be nearby the fight, and Miss Rin saved Shiro, and I helped her carry him back. And then that's when Rin started blushing, because she never got called Miss Rin. And then that's when she kind of like, corrected Deku on the spot. And then that's when she was like, to clarify, I am not Miss Rin, I am Rin Tosaka, a magus, and one of the masters of the Holy Grail world. She said, my servant is Archer over there. She was like, Shiro is currently, unconscious. And then that's when he said that, that's when she shows him the command seals that every master has. As she shows one on, what is it? She shows one on Shiro's hand and her hand as well. And then that's when she turns back to Saber. He was like, I'm assuming he got dragged into here tonight, but he's not a servant or a master. She was like, he ended up in Fuyuki City, but she doesn't really understand how he's tangled into this war. And then that's when what is it? That's when Saber, thanked Midoriya about, saving, Shiro as well. And then she told him, and then she was like, you're not a master, but I sense great power within you. It's not magecraft, but something else. Because, his quirk really isn't magic. It's more like an energy. And then that's when Midoriya was like, yeah, I'm not a master or a mage. He was like, I'm from a place where people have special abilities. We call them quirks or superpowers. He was like, my power is, like super strength. He was like, it's called one for all. He was like, he said I could basically make myself really strong and fast, but it's not magic, and it hurts if I use it too much all at once. And then that's when she was like, a special ability you were born with sounds similar to magecraft to me if it's passed down, or innate, but you called it something else. Where are you exactly from, Midoriya? You said another world, didn't you? And then that's when Deku was like, yeah, I think I am from another world, one with, heroes and villains, not like things like magic and Holy Grail wars. And then now that he heard himself say that, it sounded crazy. He was like, I was in Moose, well, I'm not even gonna pronounce it. Y'all know what city uh Deku lives in. I'm not even gonna pronounce that shit, honestly. And then he was like, I was, walking home from training, and then next thing I noticed, and then I was near your school in the same area but different at the same time. And then that's when Archer was like, the Grail never fails to attract and summon bizarre people. He was like a traveler with superhuman strength. Sounds like a plot from a he said sounds like a plot from a $2 manga or comic. And then that's when Ren ran her hand through her hair, and she was like, regardless where you came from, you got involved. Lancer might have killed you too if he's seen you. And then that's when she was like, you're lucky that you didn't get skewered. And then Saber's face, hardened as she heard his name. She's like, speaking of that fiend, she was like, what happened to him? She was and then that's when Ren said Shiro saw our fight and Lancer attacked him. Shiro was mortally wounded, and then she said she used the jewel to heal him, right? And so after that, that's when Saber said that she's in her debt. And since she was able to bring Shiro back to life, then that their truce is always indefinite. Like, if anything, she owes him one. So after that, that's when that's when Saber's gratitude, Saber's like a prominent thing. She's basically Arthur. I think that's his name. She's basically Arthur. She has Excalibur for real. But yeah, anyway, that's when Izuku breaks the silence, and then that's when he said, should we take him to a hospital? I was like, I know he healed, but he lost a lot of blood. He was like, in my world, we would definitely need to get him to a doctor or somebody that has healing powers. And then that's when Ren was like, the magic that I use heals him, even fatal damage, Midoriya. He's weak from shock and blood loss, yeah, but by tomorrow, he'll be on his feet. A hospital isn't equipped to handle magically inflicted wounds anyway, and we can't exactly explain this situation to normal doctors. And he was like, yeah, sorry. And then that's when she was like, you're fine. You just need to understand how this, how the world works, basically. And then that's when Shiro wakes up and he asks what happens. And Rin tells him that, long story short, you died, she saved him, and now we're all having a chat. And then that's when she says, how do you feel? He sits up as he said he feels fine, a little bit lightheaded, but other than that, he's fine. He thanks her as he was like, so I even owe you one too, huh? He was like, and what's your name? He was like, Izuku Midoriya. He was like, I'm glad that you're all right. He was like, Midoriya. He was like, were you there at the school? He was like, yeah, sorta. I showed up near the end and helped you carry you back here with Win. And then that's when Saber said forgive her that she wasn't there when Lancer attacked him, as he said that it was fine. He was like, Lancer would have just probably killed him earlier if he had the chance. So he appreciates her for everything that she was able to do, and nothing was really her fault. So after that, they begin to talk, and as they're talking, Shiro and Deku really noticed they both have the same ideals. So they're both like rubbing they're both like rubbing each other off. That sounded wrong as hell, but their ideals work together very well, and that's how they're able to get along very well, right? And so that's when that's when Izuku told him that he'll help in any way that he can. And then that's when Rin was like, so both of you are so helplessly heroic. And then that's when she said, Midoriya, you realize you could have been killed easily tonight. You were lucky Lancer didn't target you. Against servants, a normal human has no chance. And then he was like, you're right. Maybe for a normal human. He was like, but I'm exactly not normal. And then as he channeled one for all at, like, we'll say 5%, as the air pressure in the room shifted, as it, like, like blew like a heavy gust of wind, knock slightly knocking things over, as wind was starting like push away from him, as he was like, I might not have he's he said that he might not have magical powers like servants and some mages, but he said that he won't go down easily. At the same time, as Archer and Saber and Ren noticed that his power increased exponentially, since they could kind of sense his quirk, since we're gonna say it's like a magical base thing, but it's really not. And then that's when he was like, I also have to figure out how to get back home eventually. He was like, but until then, I just want to do what's right. And so that's when that's when they begin to talk, as they continue to exchange information about what kind of servants there are. And then that's when Deku was able to put two and two together with how Saber is. He was able to figure out that he was able to figure out that Saber is actually King Arthur, right? And then that's when Midoriya also asked a few questions, as he was like, so for example, he was like, so Lancer, I was like, do we think you know who he was? You called his spirit gay bolg. I don't know, bro. Don't even ask me how to do it. And then that's when she was like, you have mythology in your world too? She was like, yes, the spear that he has is an Irish hero. And then that's when he was like, you actually mean an ancient hero walking around alive? He was like, this is wow. Even All Might will freak out about this. And then that's when she was like, I know it's a lot to take in. And she was like, but until tonight, I wouldn't have believed there was a human like you that would possess that much power as well. And so that's when, they begin to talk, right? They begin to talk. And that's when Midoriya was like, well, everything pretty much goes to canon with that. And then Midoriya pretty much is ready to leave, but Shiro gives him some extra clothes. And then that's when Shiro was like, you don't have to leave, man. He was like, you saved my life, so my home is your home, I guess. And then that's when we cut to Midoriya getting his guest room set up. And then as he, sets the futon up and lays down, he remembers everything, what led him up to here. He sensed that the servants that are here are stronger than any villain he ever fought back at home. And then he was like, if he wanted to protect, his new friends, whether that be Rin, Shiro, Archer, Saber, and whoever he wants to, and whoever he meets along the way, that he's gonna have to, train even harder and push one for all beyond anything that he has ever done. But that thought also scared him, because when he went too high, he was at 70%, and he could barely hold that. He was like, when he fought the villain Muscular, he exceeded his limits to 100%, and for a moment, or what he cried out as 1,000,000% in a burst of will. But that was with adrenaline, and even after that, he was almost destroyed. And then that's when he thought about, he was like, could I safely go 70%? He was like, almost without injury, but if it comes to that, I will use it if I have to. And so that's when that's as he was outside. That's when Deku begins to go to sleep as he outside. We flash back to outside as snow begins to trickle lightly. That's when that's when Lancer was dangling, sitting on top of a street light, as he was like, so the kid has a master now too. And he was like, and they got themselves a new weird ally. He was like, interesting. He was like, orders are orders. He was like, but tonight, I'll let them get away from now. He was like, I can't see what happens next though. He was like, this Holy Grail War is going to be much more interesting than I thought it would be. And after that, we fade to black, and now I'm going to be leaving that part off. So I hope y'all enjoy, this what if. I kind of scripted this whole what if Deku was in Fate Unlimited Blade Works. So yeah, this is my first time doing like a scripted one that I actually took the time to actually script. So yeah, I'm a little bit nervous of doing a script because I pretty much do everything off the top of my head and memory. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking a little bit, but overall I hope y'all enjoy this, man. I hope y'all enjoyed the what if. When we do episode 2, we gonna pick up. There's gonna be some action, a lot of action. So this was just laying the groundwork on everything. If y'all have any feedback y'all want me to take, criticism, anything you want me to add for the Holy Grail War, any fights y'all want to see or fights I should add, and any characters y'all want Deku to be with at the end of the series, y'all just let me know. But until then, this is Redux What Ifs signing off. Thank you all for all the love and support, and I really do hope y'all enjoy this what if, man. Peace.